Hey, you guys. Welcome back to I'm Not Gonna Lie. I'm your host, Ashley Cupid, and we're back with another episode 11. I can't believe we're on episode 11. This feels amazing. I'm very excited. I've shared last week over on my Instagram how this podcast has been growing with listeners. And honestly, I'm just speechless and in awe. So, yeah, I'm going to continue to show up, continue to talk because people are listening. And I don't know, that makes me feel really good inside. So, anyway, I've been thinking, and that's usually how these episodes go. I've been thinking a lot about safety. Okay. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety, spiritual safety, of course, mental safety, the kind of safety that allows your body to finally unclench after years of carrying too much shit. No, I'm just kidding. Carrying way too much. Okay. And honestly, I don't think enough people realize how deeply unsafe they've felt for most of their lives. Not necessarily because something dramatic is always happening, but because they've spent years living in what we call survival mode, constant stress, constant overstimulation, constant disappointment, constant pressure to perform, explain ourselves, heal quickly, succeed quickly and to be strong all of the time. And after a while, your nervous system starts believing struggle is your permanent home. That sounds very sad. I think a lot of us become people who know how to survive but don't fully know how to feel safe. And there is a difference because surviving is exhausting, okay? It teaches us how to stay alert, how to overthink, how to anticipate problems before they actually happen, how to read people's energy before they even speak, how to stay emotionally guarded. Because at some point, being vulnerable costs you something, right? I think it's safe to say yes. Safety, it softens us. It allows us to kind of breathe just a little bit. It allows us to rest without guilt. It allows us to stop performing versions of ourselves just to be loved. And honestly, I think that's what I've been craving lately. Not this perfection, not a perfect life, just a life that feels emotionally sustainable. Sometimes I don't cook dinner. I rather okay, to be honest, obviously, I'm not gonna lie. I made a TikTok post over on TikTok, which you guys can follow me. Link is in the description. But I was literally just in the moment, like it was a Sunday afternoon. It was already 6:45 and I have not cooked dinner. I had a lot of work I needed to get done on my laptop. My spouse had the same thing. He was sitting on one end of the couch doing emails and work. I'm sitting at our table on the table in the dining room doing work, getting ready to record. And my son is with us. He's in the living room. We're all together. We're all enjoying each other's busy, quiet time, I guess. But I felt like there was no rush for me to, oh my God, I gotta go and get dinner. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. No, I just like relaxed. Like, okay, you guys are gonna eat. We're going to eat at some point. It won't be incredibly late. But right now, I'm going to sip this wine and I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes on my computer doing what I need to do. And then I'll get up and go cook dinner. So I've learned that I don't have to like live in constant survival mode and I don't always have to give in to chaos. A life where I don't feel emotionally exhausted after every interaction. That's a life, now that I'm learning to live in, a life where love and friendships, they're calm, they're mutual. My environment feels nourishing, instead of draining. And I think for a very long time, I confused intensity with alignment. I thought if something challenged me, emotionally all the time, it meant it was deep. I thought if I had to constantly prove myself, fight for understanding, overextend myself, or just emotionally carry everyone around me, that somehow that made me valuable. But now I do not believe that. Now I'm realizing that peace is not boring. I've been talking about peace all season long. Peace is not laziness, it is not weakness. Peace is actually one of the hardest things for traumatized people to choose because chaos feels familiar. And that's something that I would love for my listeners to really sit with and answer yourself. Familiar does not always mean healthy. Sometimes we return to environments, relationships, habits, or even identities that hurt us simply because they're recognizable to our nervous system. And healing, real healing, is slowly teaching your mind, body, and spirit that you no longer have to live in constant defense mode. I also think, too, that spirituality gets misunderstood sometimes. Like, people think spirituality is always just, rituals, candles, tarot, affirmations, or just the aesthetics. And don't get me wrong, I really do love all of those things. But spirituality, at least for me, has become much more grounded lately. And it's becoming aware of what my spirit actually feels like around certain people. It's paying attention to what drains me, what deregulates me, what disconnects me from myself, because our body is always going to speak before our mind catches up. So your spirit knows when something is off way before your logic can even explain it. And I think many of us ourselves for too long, because we're trying to be understanding, we're trying to be patient, we're trying to be strong, we're trying to see good in everybody. It's just us ignoring ourselves, And meanwhile, our bodies are begging us to slow down and just listen, like, whoa, pump your brakes, listen. And we don't do that. One thing I've learned recently is that creating a safe life requires honesty. You have to be honest about what no longer feels good to your spirit. Honest about what keeps triggering anxiety in you. Honest about the fact that some versions of you were built purely for survival. And maybe they protect you. Maybe once, but they're exhausting you now. I think creating a safe life means also grieving certain things too. Grieving the idea that everybody will understand you. Grieving relationships that only worked when you abandoned yourself. Grieving old versions of success that looked impressive but felt empty eternally. And honestly, that grief can feel so lonely sometimes because when you start choosing peace, your life changes, right? I think I say that every episode. Your conversations change, your boundaries change, your priorities change. You stop needing to be in every room. You stop needing external validation all the time. You stop chasing people who only love you when you are overgiving. And slowly, you begin building a life that actually feels like home to your nervous system. And I think that's what I've been living in lately. Not just achievements, not just aesthetics, not just the image of a beautiful life, but a life that feels very gentle when waking up to. I want my children to experience a version of love that feels emotionally safe. I want my friendships to feel reciprocal and honest. I want my home to feel peaceful. I want my body to feel rested. I want my spirit to feel connected to itself again. And if I could give any advice to someone listening right now, it would be this. Pay attention to what your body feels like around people. Pay attention to what constantly drains your energy. Pay attention to what forces you to portray yourself in order to keep it. Because your spirit will always tell you the truth eventually. Give yourself permission to slow down. One more time for the people in the back. Give yourself permission to slow down. You do not have to keep proving your worth through exhaustion. Let it go. You do not have to romanticize struggle to feel important. Let it go. You do not have to remain in chaos simply because it's familiar. Let it go. You are allowed to build a softer life. You are allowed to create routines that nourish you. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to protect your peace without explaining yourself endlessly. And honestly, you guys, I'm not going to lie. I think creating a life that feels safe is one of the deepest forms of self love and healing and development there is. Not surface level crap. This is actual real love, development, and care going into yourself. It really is. So, thank you guys so much for being here and listening, for continuing to show up. I am a day late with posting, but I have been moving. I moved to a different apartment this weekend. We're getting ready to enter our very, very, very busy month. June is crazy. The first 3 to 4 weeks, the first 3 weeks of June is crazy with birthdays, anniversaries, all kinds of stuff. And I needed a moment to just kind of really be in a sacred space, mentally, emotionally, to record, because I feel like as I'm sharing my voice, I need to be in that energy. I need to be all in and give it my all and have, my undivided attention and, my best self showing up for this podcast, because I believe that's what's going to pour back into me, right? So thank you guys again for listening. I really do ask, for you to continue sharing these conversations. That means the world to me. Thank you for just growing with me and allowing this space to become something so honest and very human in today's world. I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of shit going on right now in the world, a lot. And every day is not going to be perfect, but that is okay. Every day should just be a day that you show up, set your intentions, and, live in that safe life, not in that survival life. Okay. If this episode resonated with you, make sure you follow along, share the episode with somebody who may need it, and continue this journey with me, because I truly feel like we're all in this healing journey together in real time. Okay. So you can follow me for more. That information is down below in the description. You can also watch the podcast on YouTube, listening to it in the background with a nice little wallpaper while you're cleaning or scrolling on the computer, whatever it is that you may be doing. So, yeah, I love you guys very deeply. And I'm not going to lie, peace is probably the most underrated form of success there is. So go ahead and chase it. All right. Thanks for listening. Bye.